All right, how's it going? This is Jake from Converge, and you are listening to the New Scene podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the New Scene. I am your host, Keith, and we're back with another brand new episode. And on the show this week, we have the return of Nathan Ellis of the Casket Lottery. The Casket Lottery are back with their first LP in 5 years. It's called Feel the Teeth, and it's fantastic. One of my favorite records of the year. I've had the song Bell Penny on repeat lately. And Nathan is back on the show for the first time in 5 years, and we talk all about the Casket Lottery, the new LP, as well as the return of Coalesce. We were afraid it would never happen, but it did, and we're so happy to have them back. I've loved the Casket Lottery ever since the first time I heard Choose Bronze way back in 1999, and Coalesce is a top 3 of all-time heavy band for me. So it was great to have Nathan back on the show and get all the details. It's a great conversation, and that's coming up shortly, but first, here's how you can support the New Scene. Rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a main channel with full video episodes and a clips channel with clips from select episodes. We have shirts for sale at our store at Deathwish Inc. Pick one up. It's a great way to support the show. And you can follow us on social media at New Scene Pod. Also, don't forget to support Iodine Recordings. The Casket Lottery's new LP, Feel the Teeth, is available everywhere now. Pick up your copy from Iodine Recordings and check out the album on the streaming service of your choice. My band Memory Entry will be performing with Teardrops and The Promised End at Deep Cuts in Medford, Massachusetts. That's on Friday, September 26th. So if you're in the area, make sure you come out. Modern Life is War will be on tour in September and October. Make sure you check out their new LP, Life on the Moon. For more information, head to iodinerecordings.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you can follow the label on Instagram at Iodine Recordings. And say hello to our sponsor for the month of September, Persistent Vision Records. Persistent Vision Records is an independent label based in Richmond, Virginia, and it's home to a ton of great bands like Page 99, Pygmy Lush, Kowloon Walled City, Rain, Blind Girls, and Farn. You can order online at persistentvisionrecords.com and deathwishinc.com. And here's some updates from the label. Dark Days, Bright Nights Festival will be taking place September 26th through 28th in Richmond, Virginia at Studio 23. Tickets and weekend passes are on sale right now at darkdaysbrightnights.org. This year's lineup features City of Caterpillar, Iron Lung, Reversal of Man, Sleepy Time Trio, The Dazzling Killmen, Frail, and many more. Follow the festival on Instagram at Dark Days Bright Nights VA. For more information, head to persistentvisionrecords.com, and you can follow the label on Instagram at Persistent Vision Records. And now we are going to speak to Nathan Ellis of the Casket Lottery and Coalesce. Enjoy. All right, we are here now with Nathan Ellis. Nathan, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's great to have you back here. You know, it's been 5 years since we spoke last, and a lot has happened in that time. Coalesce is back, which I never thought would happen, which we never thought would happen. The Casket Lottery is putting out Feel the Teeth, an excellent new LP that I've heard. I love it. I can't wait for everybody else to hear it, and we're going to talk about all of that and more. But Nathan, first I want to ask you, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I told you before we got started here, I have a very geriatric dog here with me today. My dog Lucy, who's 16 years old, and we're getting real close, man. We're getting real close to the end, and it's pretty heavy around here. So other than that, everything is good, but I would be lying if I said I was doing great. So
yeah, the putting down of a beloved pet is a very difficult thing to do. We had a dog that developed epilepsy, and it was horrible. And we didn't have the dog for long, but I was the one who ended up being in there with the vet while they put the dog down, because we want somebody by the dog's side, and I don't know if you've ever had to do that, but it is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, and I know it's imminent. So trying to soak up all of the time with Lucy that I can.
How's everything else going? How have you been for the last 5 years?
Busy. It's been good. Yeah, I'm glad to have Coalesce stuff going on again. I think if you asked me last time about that, I definitely would have said no. It's not happening. It's not in the future. So um, it was good to have some movement on that. And then as soon as the door opened, we really started running.
Yeah, last time we spoke, it was 2020. The pandemic was still occurring. Everyone was still locked up indoors. But Casket Lottery was playing a show. It was like an outdoor show. And that just seemed so crazy to me, because no shows were happening at all. It seemed like it was never going to happen again. So that was exciting. Short Songs for End Times was coming out. But we did talk about Coalesce. And I think you said don't count on it when reunion discussions were had, because you said it's like never say never, but probably not. So how did that occur? When did conversations happen? When did the tide change?
Well, honestly, for the last few years, maybe 10 years, anytime we got show offers or anytime we talked about it, we were always at the mercy of what was going on in Jess's life. Jess has been a professor at a university in St. Louis for the last, I don't know, at least 10 years. And he's been busy, and it was the right time. We asked and said, hey, there's a couple things coming up that would be fun to do. And, of course, his initial response was, hey, I haven't picked up a guitar in 12 years. I don't even know if I know how to do it. I have nightmares about being on stage and not knowing what to do. And I said, that's totally fine. Like, let's, get my buddy, Jeff Ginsterbloom, who I played with in Abel Baker Fox, and he's now in the Casket Lottery. I said, let's get Jeff out here and let's just run through 5 to 7 songs and see how it goes. And, Jess has always been all in or all out. So as soon as the conversation started and he started relearning stuff, I think that he came into the first practice, if not the second practice, with 20 songs in the bag. He's raring to go. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, it's really just been what Jess has been up for. And so right now he's all in. And so we're doing a bunch of fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. When Sean was on the show, he did say it's Jess's band. So Jess kind of decides if he wants to do it or not. And the way Coalesce is structured, you kind of need everybody, especially Jess, because he's the guitar player.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's exactly it. Obviously I think, I'm the second bass player. Jeff is the fourth drummer, now. But yeah, for me, it's Sean and Jess, it's their band. And, I've luckily been involved since 97, and, so I feel really invested and I love it. And, when you put down songs, for 10, 12 years and you get to pick them back up and play them again, there's it's so fun, especially these songs where it's it's not typical song structures. It's more like doing puzzles and having to rely on muscle memory and waiting for stuff to come back. And it's just so much fun. So yeah, I'm really excited to be doing it again.
Yeah, same. I'm excited that you're back, because I didn't think it would ever happen again. And Coalesce is definitely a top 3 heavy band for me. When those vinyl represses got announced, I instantly purchased every one, because it's Coalesce and they looked great. How did you hook up with Relapse? Did they reach out once they heard you were back, or how'd you get in touch with them?
Actually, that was already in the works. So Relapse had, Relapse put out 012 and Ox and the Ox EP. And I think that they had already licensed the Zeppelin thing from Hydra Head, and they licensed Functioning on Impatience from Second Nature. So that was all like in the works, and that was part of the conversation. Like, hey, like something is happening, so we could actually play some shows and take advantage of this time where we've got records getting repressed and some attention. So that was just coincidence.
Yeah, I forgot that 012 originally came out on Relapse back in the day. I was still thinking Second Nature. That's right. Okay. How was it playing those songs again for the first time with everybody? How much did you remember? How much did you have to prepare?
A lot of the songs were stored up in the memory banks, or 90%, and then just we would kind of help each other with certain sections of the song and decide, this section we actually start on riff 3 instead of riff 2 or whatever. We'd straighten that all out together. But the Ox and Ox EP songs were a little bit harder. I just don't feel like we had as much muscle memory from playing those songs. So, but anything older than 012 or older was pretty easy to pull that stuff back out.
How much prep for you going into the live shows? Do you practice a lot on your own? Do you practice just with the band? What do you do?
Well, for this, I definitely practiced a lot on my own, especially when we started rehearsals with this. Jeff was still living in Brooklyn, so he would come in for a weekend, and we had to be prepared and ready to hit it. So we'd say, hey, this time let's add these 5 songs to this set. And so we all did our legwork and came prepared so we could get through those songs. But for the most part, I'm pretty lazy at home. It's not lazy so much as busy. I don't do a lot of practicing at home unless I'm writing something or getting ready for something. And with the Coalesce, it did take a lot of at home time to get ready for those weekends.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Like, I was in a band in 2023. It was the first band I was in a long time. This band, The Darling Fire, who is also on Iodine, right? So I joined as their live bass player. And it's what I wanted to do most in the world, was play in a band again and be out there. Yet, like, I just push it to the last minute. I'd be home and I'd be like, I have to learn these songs, and they're hard. And we have this run of shows coming up that's with a great band, and it's important, and it's what I want to do the most. But then some days you're just like, like it's funny, the juxtaposition of those two things.
For sure. And I think, doing it on your own at home, I mean, that does require a different sort of discipline, but you don't get the same return on investment either. Like being in the room playing loud where you're all playing together, that's when it's fun. But like having to sit at home and just run through the songs is it can be a drag, especially a bass line for a Coalesce song where it's like, this is stupid. Like it just sounds, it sounds terrible in here. But it's really just like, working it out and writing it down and being ready for practice.
That's the thing. You have to have the structure down so that when you're with everybody, you're ready to go. So how did you feel about the shows? I caught both of the New York shows. I loved it. I was really eager to see the band again. And I loved that Meha from No Man came out for You Can't Kill Us All for the opening of that. That was really cool. It was awesome. Oh, and at the end where like, I guess they wanted the show to be over and they turned on the lights and you guys just kept playing. I was like, hell yeah, fuck this place. I want to see Coalesce, not the DJ party or whatever's coming after this. But how did you feel about the run of shows?
Yeah, they've been great. And yeah, I feel like, I guess about 2 weekends ago, we did a Midwest run where we did St. Louis and Chicago and Minneapolis, I think. But like, I feel like they're just progressively better every time we go out for a weekend. But it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. I really liked that New York trip. Good to hang out with the Cave In guys again. And yeah, that was a fun show. I especially like that second show. That was a good one. Yeah. And I don't get the approach of the bar scene where they do the, last call, turn on the lights, get everybody out when, I know a bar's business model is to sell drinks, but that was a sold out show. And like, you're kicking, I don't know what, 500, 600 people out of this room. And then, an hour later, there's a DJ with 8 people there. I'm like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't fucking understand. But yeah, we were happy to blast through that.
Yeah, it was great. They must make more money with the DJ nights, I guess, because it's always so important to end the show and get everybody out and start the DJ night. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
I don't get it.
What has been difficult? Has there been anything that's been difficult in terms of getting together again, and playing live again?
Honestly, the timing for me has been a little bit difficult with just Casket Lottery stuff happening too. We're about to drop this record. Luckily, it's been a little bit staggered, but it's a lot for me to balance 2 full-time bands, and I guess they're not full-time bands, but 2 active bands and a full-time job and, a home life and all of that. So it is a lot. I'm spinning a lot of plates, and I feel like sometimes I'm half-assing things that I shouldn't be. Not necessarily like shows or anything like that, but just I'm swamped. So that personally has been a challenge for me. I didn't expect to be in 2 active bands with all that goes along with that, But the playing the shows and the getting together with all the people and doing the practices, that's the best part. It's always the best part. That's why I can't quit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. Coalesce is back. You're playing with Cave In. I saw there was the Coalesce Converge live split. That was like a benefit record. I think it must be great to come back and just team up with everybody again and play and all that stuff.
For sure. Yeah. And, so often when you play, sparingly, it feels like each show in each different area is like a reunion of a sort, where you get to see friends that you haven't seen in 7 to 10 years or whatever. And that's always a lot of fun. Especially like the first thing we did back was a secret show here where we played at the Bottleneck in Lawrence with Chat Pile. And, it was secret, nod, nod, wink, wink, like all of our friends knew. And it was just so much fun to see all the people there. I think we had, between the 4 of us, 6 of our kids were out there at the show, and obviously 12 years ago would have been the last chance they would have seen it, and they were all little kids, so to have them out, and like they're, teens and early 20s now, like hanging out with each other at the Bottleneck is pretty awesome. So yeah, those little moments are rewarding. A lot of fun.
Were your kids at that show?
One of them, yeah.
Okay. How are they doing? I guess they would be like 25 and 19 now?
Man, you have that on lockdown. Yeah. But yeah, they're doing great. My youngest is getting ready. She just moved out. She's getting ready to start her next semester at school. And it's just normal hustle and bustle. It's crazy to have kids this age when, like, I've been talking to my parents who live about an hour away, and we've been trying to get together for an afternoon, and it's like it's impossible just to lock up schedules. And it shouldn't be so hard, but it is. Everybody's going every different direction.
Yeah, that's my dream, is to, as we get older, it's just like there's less and less and less time, and it seems like it's so hard to schedule things. My dream is to like somehow have that not be the case and just do whatever I want and have there be endless time, like it felt like when we were 24. I don't know, but I think that's impossible because there's just more and more stuff to worry about as we get older. What takes up your time? I mean, you've got kids 25 and 19, you're married, you have family nearby. Like what do you have to juggle in terms of dealing with life stuff versus the bands?
Well, the full-time day job with trying to figure out hangout time with my family, plus the 2 different band practices each week. Yeah, it's a full schedule, especially with, each month has one weekend's worth of shows or whatever. Actually, Casket Lottery's got a lot coming up this into September and a lot in October, and it's like logistically, it's a little bit of a nightmare. We're doing a lot of flying shows, shipping merch, but like I'll just fly home and work for 3 days and then fly to the next round of shows. So yeah, it's just it's life. It's just everything. But of course, the things that make it all worthwhile are the things that would be what would you'd have to give up first. You know what I mean? And I'm just not willing to do that. So I'll just be busy for a while.
Yeah, I like being busy. I like having stuff to do constantly. And now that I have things in the world of music to work on constantly, this podcast and my own band, I'm happy. That's what I want. Are you like that? Do you like to be doing stuff constantly?
Yeah, for sure. And there was a point in time where I did try to give it up. I did stop playing music. I don't know, about 10, 12 years ago or whatever. I thought it's just too much. I can't focus on it. I'm just going to go to work and be a family guy and hang out with my kids. And I did that for a couple of years and I was miserable. And so I really had some big conversations with some friends and started playing music again. And I think that's when we did the second Able Baker Fox record. I just like called up my friends and I was like, I have to do something. Can we focus on a project, and that's all I need. I just need, a project to be working on. And a writing project is always my favorite. Like, booking and playing a lot of shows is cool too. It's the reward at the end of all of the work for writing the record. But, really that's when I can wrap my head in around something is writing a record.
Yeah, the whole process is great, and there's parts of it I like more than others, but just the whole thing, that's what it's all about, struggling through the writing, getting into the studio, recording it, and then the big reward at the end, playing the stuff, and everybody finally getting to hear it, and I love it. I mean, I can't think of anything else I would rather do more. So here's a question. Those years where you weren't playing music and wanted to give it up, what were you doing? What did you do instead?
I was going to work. I was hanging out with my kids more, and I started running, a lot of running. And I still do that. I feel like I have to do the running and the exercising every morning because I have so much anxiety. And if I skip those, I spin out all day. So that's another hour investment of my day.
How much do you run? How far?
Oh, I'm not good with distance. I think I probably, I have a usual spot that I go run in the woods. There's a nature sanctuary here in town, and I think it's close to a 5K every time I go out. So it's like 3.2 to 3.5, depending on the trails I take.
Okay. When you run, can you run like multiple miles in a row without stopping? Because I started running last May to start to get in shape for shows and to be able to like perform vocally better. And I still can't run an entire mile without stopping. Like I'll stop, walk so that I'm still moving and then start up again. Like I can't run a full mile, 2 miles, but I'll run a mile twice a week, a full mile. Like how is it for you?
Well, the first mile is the hardest. It's still every time, you get to that like 0.75 mile marker where it's just like, this is fucking terrible. I want to quit. And then, I can run past that, but like pretty quickly after that, I'm all in. I'm good. But like I said, like I only do like 3.5 miles tops. I did try to do longer distances for a while, and I get starving. I get I daydream about peanut butter, and like I gotta get the fuck home. It's like I'm done. I'm done. So. Also, like I'm not a very big guy, so I don't want to get into long distance running. Like there's no appeal for me. It's just enough to like stop spinning plates in my head, just to stop the squirrels from running around in there.
Right. Yeah, I was doing 2 miles, but then my hip started to hurt, and I just felt like I might collapse. And like you, I would think about like so much food. And then I would come home and eat like popsicles and Italian ice and drink Gatorade. And it was crazy. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to run 1 mile twice a week. That'll keep me fit. And then things won't get too crazy. But I have run a mile without stopping. I would like to get to that again.
You're on your way. If you just keep it up, you'll get there.
Do you do any other workout stuff?
I do. Yeah. I blew up my back I might have talked about this last time I was in the podcast. I had a really bad back injury right before the Casket Lottery went on a trip. And I was loading the van and I lifted the base cabinet and I moved the wrong way. And I blew it up and I immediately went to a chiropractor like within the hour. And I was like, look, I'm getting ready to drive 20 hours to Florida. We were going to Fest. And at this point, I can't sit and I can't stand. I like had to do a lean kind of thing. And, my wife was freaked out. I was, completely pale and cold sweat. And, I just remember the chiropractor being like, yeah, it looks like you have a bulging disc. This trip is going to suck for you. Here's a TENS machine, do ibuprofen. And like all I heard was I was going on the trip still. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, cool. This is still happening. So I did. Like I got in a van and we went and I played 5 sets in 3 days at Fest between the Casket Lottery and Abel Baker Fox. And I had a chair on stage with me, but I didn't use it. It was there if I needed it. But I was fucking miserable. I was in so much pain. And by the time I got home and had an MRI, I had found out that I had 4 herniated discs. So completely blown up. I was out of work for like 3 months doing physical therapy. And from that point on, I pretty much still to this day start every day with my physical therapy. I have to, like, just to get my back to zero, So I do a lot of stretching, a lot of physical therapy, and then I lift, and it's not, I'm not great at it. And I would say, I'm just really careful with it. There was a point in time where I was hurting myself doing it, and I thought that was pretty counterproductive. Like the whole point is to be fit and healthy. So like, I do, just basic lifting.
Yeah, I lift dumbbells and I went from 30 to 35 pounds and I was like, it's time. And then 4 days into it, I felt something snap and I was like, oh no. And it was right when me and my girlfriend were about to leave for a trip. Thankfully, it was not bad. But then a couple weeks later, I had one like you're talking about where I couldn't walk and I was sitting down at band practice. But thankfully, I just did stretches and I was careful and I remember to lift with my knees now. And I ask for help when I'm lifting big things. So I think it's okay. Like when you have 4 herniated discs, what happens? Do you just do physical therapy? Was there any surgery? Like, what do they do?
Yeah, well, luckily I avoided the surgery piece. And it's just because, so that happened. My injury happened right before Halloween weekend, right before Fest. And by the time I got back in town, all these doctors that I had to go to figure out what my plan was, it was the holiday season. So I could not get any traction with that. So luckily I had gone to enough physical therapy, probably 6 weeks of physical therapy before I even saw somebody who said, here's the surgery option. And I had turned enough of a corner in that 6 weeks time to be like, I'm seeing progress. I'm just going to keep going like this. So it probably, worked out for the best that's how that happened. But yeah, it's definitely, 4 herniated discs is usually surgery. I feel like I lucked out. I did a lot of sitting down for 3 months. So
yeah, 4 herniated discs. That sounds like surgery, but I would not want to have surgery, especially on my back, if I didn't have to. I think there's other ways. I think there has to be other ways, which it sounds like you found.
Yeah, luckily. I think, of the people I know who have had major back surgery, probably half the time it works for them and half the time it doesn't, So yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to.
So the Casket Lottery is back with a new LP. It's called Feel the Teeth. I love it. It's one of my favorite records of the year, definitely so far. When did we begin writing this record?
Well, you alluded to Short Songs for End Times earlier. That was a 2020 record that we wrapped up like right before lockdown started, and we had all sorts of plans for that thing. We were gonna road dog that pretty hard. We had a lot of tours lined up, and we were talking about we were close to cementing Europe when everything hit the fan. So when lockdown started, we had to throw all those plans out the window, and we didn't even know if we were going to release it for a while. You know, that was when everybody had to put on the brakes and figure out the next course of action. And if you remember back then in those times, New Music Fridays was like a big thing. It was like helping people get by. Like there was energy around it where it was like, it was important that new stuff was still happening. So we were like, fuck it, we're just going to put this out. We did not get to do the support that we wanted to around that, but we started talking pretty quickly about, well, let's just keep writing. If we can't go hit the road, we can't really support this thing. We did a few like live performances from the practice space that we filmed and put out. But that was the conversation around it, like way back then. So I got to work, and like I started demoing, and I started bashing out songs. And it didn't take long before I realized that I was like on a completely different page than everybody else. Like, you know, I feel like everybody else was like, yeah, totally, let's do that. And then, you know, I don't know if it was just the weight of the world, but soon, like I had a bunch of demos going, and nobody else was hanging out. Nobody else was going to the studio to put ideas down. So it was a much slower process than I would have liked. But what that allowed me to do is like really craft this batch, you know, and this is something that I've not really done a lot of in the past, where like I wrote and recorded and, you know, had different demo versions and different ways of playing each song. And then I would throw everything away and start from scratch. And, you know, I think this started out as about 15 to 16 songs, with each one having 2 or 3 different versions. So that took a lot of time. And I feel like by the time we started recording this, which was, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I had a really good plan with how these songs were going to go. And during that time, we did go out and play some shows. I want to say February of 2023. And we had some rough shows, you know, and going out during the winter is never fun. And it was at the end of that trip that Stacy, the other original member of the band, had, you know, basically decided that he was done. And like, I totally understood, you know, we've been carrying this bag together for a long time. So that meant when we got home and, you know, he was done, and I had all of these songs recorded with no bass tracks really on them, except for whatever demo bass tracks I had put on them. Like I had a real dilemma. Like I couldn't decide. I think I put it down for like 6 months where I was like, should I stop doing this? You know, is this weird for me to keep going? But you know, I had a few like really heavy conversations with friends and, you know, people who have played bands, that I've toured with for years. And like, everybody was just like, that's stupid. Like, just, you know, you've got all of these songs, like you might as well just see it through. And, you know, like I alluded to earlier, I just love a project. So I was lucky enough to find, a good friend here in town who, you know, has played bass forever. And I was just like, dude, do you want to give it a shot? And he immediately was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, let's check it out. So, you know, I think he came to practice. His name is Gene Abramov, and he came to practice having learned a bunch of old songs, but also was like, okay, let's play these new songs, and like was excited to dig in on those right away. So that was like such a relief for me and such a deciding factor where like, I mean, I really did like think that this band was just done, you know, like, what am I doing? But for him to show up and like really kind of revive the whole project, it's the only reason it got done, you know?
Yeah, I was wondering how it worked out with Stacy leaving and everything, because I spoke to him and he was on the show at some point after he quit and was talking about it. But I know that feeling. It's like if all the original members leave, right? And then it's like, do I keep going? Do I want to keep going? Because I've been in that situation where people leave a band and I'm trying to get new people in and it's not working out and I'm the only one who cares. And it's like, well, what am I doing this for? So it's great having the new bass player in there and he's excited about it and he's bringing an energy to it, because it sounds like that just really helped you keep it going, which I'm glad you did, because we got another great record out of it.
Yeah. And thank you. And of course, like, you know, no ill will towards Stacy. I totally understand. You know, this is a long time to be doing something like this. And he was out on the road in a cold tour where he was missing his kid. And, you know, we just hugged it out and said, you know, totally makes sense. But for Gene to come in and be excited, it was like, man, I felt like I was dragging people along in this band for so long that like when he showed up, I was like, oh, cool. This feels good. Like, there's some energy in this room again. And yeah, and I also knew too, during those weird moments when I was like, ah, fuck it, you know, I should just not. The two things that I knew were there's going to be a perception of like, what does this mean to be in a band that's coming up on 30 years where like I'm the only original member, and, you know, people are always going to have an opinion about what that means or why that happened. But also like, I knew that I loved this batch of songs and I was like too selfish. I was like, I'm not throwing these away. These are fucking good. Like I was really excited. I didn't want to not record them. You know, I needed to at least document them. And then when we got into the studio and put it all together, I was like, I love this. I love this record. And like, I'm so glad that I have these people who are excited about it playing with me. And yeah, so it's a bit of a rebirth, and it's kind of refreshing.
Definitely. I can hear that in the record, and we're teamed up with Iodine Recordings right now, who's a great label. How did you get in touch with them? How did that happen?
Well, so Jeff Ginsterblim, who's playing drums in the band now, he moved out here because of Coalesce, but also he's been the backup drummer for Casket Lottery for years, and I've been trying to get him to move out here for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I played with him in Abel Baker Fox. And he's the type of guy who always had like 10 different bands in Brooklyn. And one of those bands was...
he's the drummer in Brooklyn. I would always joke on the show, whenever I went to see a band in Brooklyn, 80% of the time he was the drummer.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of those bands was Her Head's on Fire, which is an Iodine band. So when we were wrapping up this project, you know, he was the one that said, hey, send it to my buddies in Iodine. So we did that, and we had a phone call, and yeah, it felt good. It felt like a really good fit.
Definitely. So when you're writing and you have 2 or 3 different versions of songs, what do you do with that? Do you bring it to the rest of the band and sort through it with them? Do you just decide on the final version? How does that all shake out?
Well, one of the songs in particular, I was just playing a different way for a couple of years. I had this song idea and this demo for a couple of years, and like I just couldn't get it to feel good with the drums and bass. Like every time we'd go run through it at practice, it just didn't lock in. It didn't feel right, and then I was so frustrated with it. But I knew it was a good song. It was just wrong somehow. And I just started playing it fast. And I was like, what if we did it like this? What if we made it sound like a song by the Walkmen or something instead. And that did it. That was the answer. And it's something that I like kicked around for 2 or 3 years for sure. And then the first song on the record, Night Song, I had that bass line for at least, it was probably 13 years that I like had that idea, and I just could not figure out where to go next with it. That's something that I had recorded at Ed Rose's house 13 years ago, right after we put out Real Fear, which came out in 2012. That's how I know the timestamp. So, and I'd had that demo for so long, and I just couldn't do anything with it. And we were at practice one day, and I was playing it, and Terrence, the other guitar player, just started playing the chorus idea, which is like, for me, like the main idea of the song was, it felt like, the Cure pornography era, like something really dark and moody. And like he started playing like this Hot Snakes chorus, and I was like, fuck, like that's it. And like after that, we were off to the races. It was something that we probably put together in like 2 practices after that. But sometimes it's just those ideas you're stuck on, and you like keep tweaking, and there's something good there, but you can't find it. And I did that a lot on this record. So I would say, it wasn't like I said, this is the version, this is how it goes. It was more like we would work on one idea and like not feel it. It just wasn't it, and I'd bring the next version, next practice, and be like, what about this? So it was definitely like in the room banging it out together with the different versions until we found it, and we found the one to really nail down.
That's the way. I still write in the room with everybody, and not knock it around until you find it. Have you ever done any remote writing? Have you ever done any like home record something and send it to somebody? I haven't gotten into that yet.
Well, yes. Both Abel Baker Fox records were done like that. We would just send demos to each other, and whoever sent the first idea would just get a version back that had somebody else's idea on top of it. And like we just did that for both those records, and every time it was awesome, and it was a lot of fun to do it that way. And then right now Jess and Coalesce is in St. Louis, so we wrote through the internet.
Okay. Night Song from the new Casket Lottery LP. I read this quote. It's about a reflection of how time and trauma warp the body and mind. And you said, I don't sleep very well anymore. Now I just have these moments between being awake and my hypnagogic, I don't know if I said that right, hallucinations. Do you not sleep well?
I don't. And I haven't for years. I feel like I get a good nap in around midnight. And then after that, it's a coin toss the rest of the night. But, and for a while I thought, it was too much coffee, or it was just too much screen stimulation from having my phone nearby or whatever. So like I'd put all that stuff out of my area whenever I was sleeping. And then I just realized that like, it's just how I'm wired. So I would, I did a lot of writing in the night, where I would just, use a notepad or whatever and just get up and write. And that's like kind of what I'm referring to in that quote, where like there's those moments between sleep and dream where it's something is, you're piercing a veil there, where like you're thinking thoughts that you wouldn't normally have in your day to day. Like I said, I've got squirrels up there. So if I can mute those and get to, some sort of meditative space, like other ideas happen. And that's the fruit. That's when it gets real good.
So is it like every night you're only going to sleep a couple hours or something like that?
I think I probably average around 5 hours. And it's like I said, like a real good solid 2 hours at the top of the night, and then off and on, half an hour here, half an hour there.
Yeah. I used to not be able to sleep well, but there was reasons for that. But now I'm fine. I'll wake up 2, 3, 4 times in the night, but I can usually go right back to sleep. And here's the thing. Like I used to get really mad and just like lay in bed mad and be like, I can't sleep. But now if I really can't sleep, I just get up and do something like you're talking about. Like I'll get up and edit the show or play a video game or watch something on YouTube, whatever. Like why just lay there and be mad? That's not going to help things.
Yeah, you got to surrender to it. Yeah, I learned that a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a question. You're married, right? Do you have to like get up and go to a different room? Does that ever cause problems? Because I've been in situations where she's like, why are you up? Come back to bed. And I'm like, I can't. And, it's like that kind of thing.
No. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I definitely move. I get out of the bedroom at a certain point. Like when I feel it, when it's like, all right, yeah, I'm not sleeping here, and that happens every night. Yeah. It's, start there. We'll be watching TV or something. I might fall asleep in there. I might not. But yeah, I have to give her sleep for sure. Like that's and we came to terms with that a long time ago.
Yeah, that is a necessity. Echo Lalia from the new record. I read a quote, a song about middle age enlightenment, realizing that I spent so many years wanting when all I needed were the moments I had. I resonated with that, and I might talk about that later. But what does that mean to you? What realizations have you had?
Well, I think, so often, I think that you can really fuck up your life by not being present in it, and if you're not there for the moments, you're going to blow past them, and this is all pretty basic logic here, but I think that I did a lot of that where I was wishing I was in a different scenario or wishing that something was a different way when I could have just leaned into where I was at in that moment in time, and I could have made it better, or I would have appreciated it more. And I think that the older you get, the more you realize the most valuable commodity is time. And, we talked about that earlier in this podcast where you mentioned like, what do you do? Like, how do you fill up your time? And like, yeah, between work and two bands and family stuff and dog stuff and, exercise, it's like, I've got a very fucking full day. And there's obviously moments where it's just something stupid. Like you ever get stuck at the DMV or you're getting a fucking oil change and you're there like an hour and a half. You're like, Jesus Christ, this is like an hour and a half that like I did not plan on wasting here. That infuriates me. I hate that I have to spend that time doing something like that when I would much rather be doing anything else. That I hate that. So and it's definitely like the reason that song is called that is because that is a theme that I've revisit over and over again. And I've probably written 10 of those songs in the last 20 years about my frustration with being stuck in a system that doesn't allow me to do exactly what I want to do at any given time.
Right. Yeah, that I know what you're talking about. And I used to have a very short temper, and I'd be like yelling at people in stores and just like storming out and all kinds of baby stuff. But I can control it now. I'll feel the simmering in me, but I never let it explode like that. All right. So like I'm at the grocery store. I go to one line and there's like two people in line messing around with refunds and coupons and it's just a whole to do. So I'm like, all right, so I switch to the other line. And then there's people at the front of that line. Like there's some confusion and here's this. And I'm just standing there like simmering. I'm like, I have one package of eggs. I just want to buy it and get out of here. Like those little insignificant like time suck moments can be the most infuriating.
Yeah, because there's always somewhere else you'd rather be, for sure. You got to get on that online ordering thing, man. Get out of the fucking store.
I do that. But sometimes, you just need something that day. You got to go do it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about with like, it seems so obvious once you come to the realization, but it's not obvious when you're going through it. Cause I've been through what you're talking about where you want something more, or you're searching for something, or you want it from somewhere and it's not working out. But I had a realization like that last year where I just circled back around to the simple things. My best friends are still my best friends from when I'm 16. we all got together, we reconnected because they're in a band that reunited. I was in a band again that played a show. Everything was right there. Everything was right there the whole time. All I had to do was just like tap back into it again. And it seems so obvious now, but maybe not so much when you're running around the world, like trying to find something that's not there, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's just a reminder to enjoy those moments when you're in them. And I think that the older you get, the more you do, the more that you can like really soak it up and appreciate when stuff like that happens. When you get to see a group of old friends, like it just means so much more now.
Exactly. So you said you have a lot of anxiety. I do too. Do you get it before you play? Like, do you get a lot of nerves before you play ever?
No, I don't typically do that anymore. The most stressful thing, the thing that worries me, is my voice in the Casket Lottery. Like, there's that frustration of when you're just not quite healthy or you're exhausted from being on tour, like, and you just don't have it 100%. That's the most stressful part of being on tour and playing shows for me, for sure. I don't have any of that with Coalesce, which is a fucking joy. Like I love playing bass in that band because like I do not have to think about that. I do, backup vocals and stuff there, but like that's, insignificant. But to be singing the whole set and not quite have it is really frustrating. So that's my stressor. But I don't have a lot of stage fright. And I think so much of that is because I have complete trust in the people I'm playing music with too. Like there could be moments where if I break a string or whatever, I can fall out and know that those guys are not going to miss a step. And uh, that just is a nice safety net. I don't stress it, in that way.
How does your anxiety manifest itself? Mine, I overthink everything. I always think I'm bothering people. I don't reach out a lot when I should. I try to do everything myself all the time so I don't have to bother anybody, which creates its own issues. How about you?
Well, yeah, I think that those are all textbook. Yeah, I do all of those. But like I'll feel it just like reverberating in my body when I know it's going to be a rough day. Which is why that's why I do, I run or work out in the morning because I got to like burn off that extra energy. And sometimes it's just when I know that I have a shitty day ahead of me or I have something that I have to do that I'm not looking forward to. And it's like, you just got to get on the other side of it. And that anxiety is just going to be with me until I'm past it. And then I take meds, I'm medicated in a way that, I keep it on the lowest dosage possible just so I can still tap in and be as human as I can. But I have emergency pills too. And if my anxiety turns to panic attack, I have a solution for that.
If you don't mind my asking, what do you take? I take propanolol because I was getting like bad, almost stage fright to where I almost couldn't even function and play on stage. So they said, oh, they prescribe this for people who get stage fright, propanolol, and it just lowers your blood pressure. I can't take any Xanax or Klonopin or anything like that because I've had issues in the past. So I stay away from all mood and mind altering substances in that regard. What do you take?
Well, I take Buspar or Buspirone. That's my regular. I take Klonopin or Ativan for emergencies.
Okay. Do you ever get like panic attacks, like full on panic attacks or anything like that?
Yeah, I had a really bad one a couple of years ago. I mean, and have you had a panic attack?
No, I used to, I don't know if it was a panic attack, maybe, but when I was a kid, I would get this thing where like I would see white and I would like get real sweaty and like feel like I was going to pass out. I don't know how or why. I don't know if I didn't eat enough. I don't know if it was a panic attack. But it stopped eventually. Like, is that what it is?
Well, for me, and I've only had a few of them, the worst part about a panic attack is once you've had one for months, it feels like you could go back there at any time. That's why it's debilitating. And I think there's a lot of that on this new Casket record. I lean into that pretty heavy because like I was there and I was terrified. And for me, what it is it's being trapped in my skull and not knowing how to get out, like literally going crazy. And when you when you go through something like that, you realize how possible that is. And until I did this, until I had a few of these panic attacks, I never considered that. I didn't even, it's just a funny like movie cliche or something, but like experiencing it really knocked me on my ass for a while.
When did you have the first one?
It was during lockdown, and I don't know. I don't really know what the triggers are, but so it was like within the last 5 years, and that was when I went to my primary care and I said, what the fuck is this? What happened? What do I do? And, that's when I learned about these emergency pills that like, and I'm glad to have them. And the most recent panic attack I had, I was camping and trying to sleep at night. And like I told you, I don't sleep very well. So I'm in this, we have this little camper van and like I'm 6 inches from the ceiling of the camper van. So I'm already like claustrophobic. And since I haven't been sleeping, I've had friends who are like, oh, just take some of these weed gummies and that's going to help you. Like, and so I was like fucking with weed gummies. Right. And like, I'd been doing it for months and I'm like, I've never experienced a high. I've never really known if it helps me sleep. But like in that moment, I got fucked up and went full on out of my head. I'm in the woods, like I'm losing my mind. And my wife is sleeping through it. So like I wake her up at some point. I'm like, I'm freaking out. I don't know what's going on. And I told her, she's like, you're just too high. And I'm like, no, this is more than that. And I probably was just too high. But what it did in my brain was like this, like I said, I was trapped. I was stuck in my skull with all the thoughts in the world. And all I could think of was I'm broken and I'm never going to get out of this. And just having that moment lingered on for months and months. I won't get on a fucking elevator. Forget it. Like, no way. If I can avoid it, I'm taking the stairs.
Mm. Yeah. See, I was going to ask if there's certain things you avoid, like there's certain things I can't do like normal people. I can't drink. Well, I could drink, but I won't because it would turn into a disastrous situation. So I can't like just go to the bar and drink and then like talk to people like normal. I have like a 2-hour social battery. I can only socialize so much. If I'm with people, I like to have like a separate room because I kind of need some time by myself. There's like specific things I need to set up a certain way to make sure that I'm okay. Do you have stuff like that too? I
don't really have, like an exit plan or anything like that. But I do know my triggers, any sort of claustrophobic situation, and especially sitting in like a quiet audience, like sitting in the middle of a quiet audience when everybody's, trying to enjoy something. I do not like that. I definitely need to be like, I need to have a way out of any of those. Those are the main ones. I used to be a partial season ticket holder to the Royals here. I'd go to the baseball games, but like there was a certain point in time, and this is well before panic attacks when I just sitting in a crowd and listening to all the people talk around me. I was like, I'm miserable. I don't like it here anymore. And that was my first sign.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff to deal with, It's scary when new stuff like that comes up because like that happened to me when I quit drinking and everything else. All the things I thought I liked, a lot of the things I thought I liked, I didn't. I had to relearn how to live in a lot of ways. So it's just like when new stuff like that comes up, it's like, oh no, like I wasn't planning on this.
Yeah. My wife always used to joke that I could just sleep through anything, because it's true. Like when we were first together, I'd sleep no problem, and she had trouble sleeping. And like somehow that switched over the years. And now, like I can't even imagine a full night's sleep. That's just not, that's just not something that I can picture. So
When's the last one you can remember?
well, it was before Trump.
Ah,
I mean, I hate to be so on the nose about it, but that was when like it broke my brain, where I was like, this is not the world I thought I was living in.
yeah. And it's gotten a lot worse.
Yeah.
So Feel the Teeth is going to be out August 29th. This episode is going to be out right after that. So Nathan, we want everyone to purchase the vinyl. We want everyone to come see you. It's a great record, everybody. Take my word. You want this. You want to hear it.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
When are you playing? What shows do you have coming up?
Oh, we've got Kansas City show August 30th. That's our record release show here in town with Appleseed Cast and Flooding. And then we do a support spot tour with The Sound of Animals Fighting. And that is, that's a real wild one, where we do 4 shows on the West Coast. The next weekend we do 4 shows Northeast. And then the weekend after that, we do 3 shows in Texas. And then a week and a half after that, we're in Gainesville for Fest for a couple of shows. And then early November, we are back here in Lawrence, Kansas with Minus the Bear. I think that's all we've got lined up, but it's a lot.
Those are some good shows. Wait, are you playing any of those This Will Destroy You shows?
Yeah. Yes. Remind me again, are you in Boston?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Okay, yeah, we'll be at Webster Hall.
Oh, awesome. Do you know that band? I love them.
I don't. When we got invited on this trip, I checked out all of those bands, and it's a really solid bill up and down. So
I think the show you're on is This Will Destroy You playing Another Language. That's their 2014 or 15 LP. Listen to that record. It is life-changing.
Awesome. I'll check it out. Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. How about Coalesce? Are we writing? Do we plan on releasing anything? Is there anything you can tell us?
Cannot confirm if anybody's made it this far in the interview. I've already dropped one Easter egg on that, but I'm not supposed to confirm.
All right. So everybody stand by. We are not confirming anything. We are not denying it either, but more will be revealed.
Eventually.
Or not. We don't know. Well,
I know.
Okay. Nathan knows. The rest of us will know eventually. But Nathan, I love the music that you make. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. I'm looking forward to more. And thank you.
Oh, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.